So I'd just like to talk about this painting. It's by my dad. And I think it was done when he was about I think 17 or so, I think he said. Around about that age anyway. So he was in the Navy, and this is sort of one of his pastimes, painting. Look at how well it's done. Look at that wave kind of going down. Isn't that? Let's let you have a look at it. Basically, not much I can say. Or to compare it with another one he's done. So you see that the sail is anyway, you get a real sense of the depth of that water, I feel, by that. Look at the line of that right there. That one, which goes down. It gives the impression of a slow rolling deep sea. And if you look at the sail, it's definitely being blown fairly fully. Yeah. Compare that now with this picture, also by my dad. Okay, so this is the same sort of boat. I get the impression that it was in the Pacific somewhere. Here you can see that the wind is not blowing the sail, and it's highlighted by the vertical lines in the sail, which show like a sail which is kind of wilting. I mean, probably the sail maybe wasn't so much wilting, but you need to portray it like that to show that it's not being it's not being blown. The other one had no lines at all. And then look at the waves. There's no particularly deep line going downwards like in the last painting, which conveyed such a sense of depth and movement, which I forgot to talk about. To go back to that one, see, it's the sail, yeah, no lines on it, but that this wave that comes down like that one there, conveys not only depth but also movement of water. Slow movement perhaps, but movement nevertheless. And in this one, there's not such a line like that, so there's neither the sense of depth nor the sense of movement, especially when you obviously combine it with the sail, with those streaks, making it look as though it's just sort of hanging down there. I mean, you could say that there's some depth conveyed, but what can you do when you're using those lines? If you don't use a downward line like in the other painting, it's not going to look as deep, basically. Okay, there's no movement in this picture either. And then I'll just show you one more, actually. It's also by my dad, teenage dad. There you can see that is representative of the tide going out. Yeah, with those sorts of lines. Okay. So they're just some observations as to how to draw waves, draw seascapes. I would also point to Ivazovsky, the famous Russian, and I would say that his seascapes are wholly unrealistic, wholly romanticized, and not, in my opinion, very good. Although quite impressive in the size of the canvases, and you know, it's obviously they're painted by a true master, but chocolate boxy in my opinion, and not really a sort of high art perhaps. You know, so I point to Turner is obviously He's got some great seascapes. The first modern artist, some would say, or some would say Kandinsky. Kandinsky apparently, when this is a story I've heard, that he saw one of his paintings, one of his own paintings, I think, hanging upside down, and that is what made him think of doing his form of abstract art, his abstract expressionism. Okay, whether that story is true or not, I don't know. But I've always liked his early watercolours, which, not his. I mean, he began by, he's done some pictures of like horses and things, in watercolours, but he also did his graphically kind of like, you know, cubist, but sort of well, it's got links to cubism, of course, but very much modern abstract expressionism. Right? So, which are in watercolors. Mainly, they're in oils, though, aren't they? So, but in any case, I prefer his early watercolors, not the ones. His horses are good as well. Actually, his early pictures of horses, which you can see. So, why I talked about Kandinsky. Oh yeah, okay, because they're linked to Turner, because Turner is famous for his seascapes, quite famous anyway, and he's considered the first modern artist by most people, but then your average Russian would say it was Kandinsky. And I think Kandinsky was part of the Blau Ritter movement in Germany, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe that's where I get this horses imagery. I went to an exhibition in London. It was at the Royal Academy, and it was his early watercolours. I remember there were some horses there. Anyway, I'm talking about seascapes. Yeah, there are some tips regarding depth of sea and movement of sea. There we go, and I'd point you to Turner and Kandinsky. And Aiwazowski, sort of. I mean, I went on about how I don't like Aiwazowski because it's very romanticised and a little bit chocolatey boxy, but they're hugely impressive, you've got to say. I mean, how he managed to produce such massive canvases with such basically impressive depictions, no matter how unrealistic, of seascapes. You've got to be impressed by his work. I used to live on Ulica Aiwazowska in Kazan. Okay, so I'll end with that. Thank you very much. I hope this has helped you to paint seascapes.